Learning English through conversation. Preparing for an unforgettable trip to Italy. Bob, I've been thinking about our trip to Italy, and I'm so excited. I just can't wait to explore all the beautiful places together. Have you thought about which cities we should visit?
I was just looking into that. Italy has so many amazing places. Rome, Venice, Florence. It's hard to choose. I mean, we can't possibly see everything in one trip, right?
Exactly. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? We get to decide what's most important to us. I definitely want to see Rome, the Colosseum, the Vatican. It's like walking through history.
Rome is a must. I've always wanted to see the Colosseum in person. And the food. Can you imagine all the pasta and pizza we're going to eat? I'm already drooling just thinking about it.
Oh, I know. Italian food is going to be such a highlight. But there's more than just Rome. I've heard Florence is beautiful, especially if you're into art and architecture. The Uffizi Gallery, the Duomo, and let's not forget the Ponte Vecchio.
Florence sounds perfect. We could spend days just wandering around and taking in the Renaissance vibe. And it's not too far from Tuscany, right? We could do a day trip to some of the vineyards. Imagine us, sipping wine in the countryside.
That sounds like heaven. Tuscany is definitely on my list. I've read that the landscape there is breathtaking, with all those rolling hills and cypress trees. We should also visit some smaller towns, maybe Siena or San Gimignano. They're supposed to be charming and less crowded.
That's a great idea. I like the thought of mixing the big cities with some quieter, more authentic Italian experiences. What about Venice? It's so unique with all the canals and gondolas, but I've heard it can be very touristy.
Venice is a dream, though, isn't it? I've always imagined us taking a romantic gondola ride through the canals at sunset. But yes, it can get crowded. Maybe if we go in the early morning or later in the evening, we can avoid the worst of the crowds.
That sounds like a plan. We'll just have to be strategic about it. Plus, I've heard there are some hidden gems in Venice, places that the typical tourists don't know about. We could explore those too.
That's what I love about traveling with you, Bob. You're always up for an adventure, and you know how to find the best spots. Speaking of which, have you thought about where we're going to stay? Are we doing hotels, or should we look into Airbnb?
I've been looking at both. I think a mix could be good. In Rome, maybe a hotel close to the main attractions, so we don't waste time commuting. But in Tuscany or some of the smaller towns, an Airbnb might be more charming and more affordable.
That sounds perfect. We can have the best of both worlds. I'd love to stay in a rustic Italian villa in Tuscany. Imagine waking up to that view every morning.
And cooking breakfast together in a little Italian kitchen. We'll buy fresh ingredients from the local markets. I've heard Italian markets are incredible, so colorful and full of life.
Yes. We'll get fresh tomatoes, basil, maybe even some local cheese, and make our own caprese salad. It's going to be amazing. And speaking of markets, we can't miss the Mercato Centrale in Florence. It's supposed to be a foodie's paradise.
Definitely. We should also try to learn a few basic Italian phrases before we go. I think it'll make the experience even better if we can interact with locals, even just a little bit.
Good idea. I've been brushing up on some Italian. It's such a beautiful language. I know a few phrases, like buongiorno for good morning and grazie for thank you. But we should learn more, especially things like how to order food or ask for directions.
Right. And maybe something for emergencies too, just in case. But I think the locals will appreciate our effort, even if we're not fluent. Plus, it'll be fun to practice.
I can see us now, stumbling through our Italian but having a great time with it. And who knows, we might even pick up more of the language while we're there.
Exactly. By the end of the trip, we'll be practically locals ourselves. Now, about packing, what do you think we should bring? I know it's going to be hot, but I also heard that some places, like the churches in Rome, have a dress code.
Yes, we'll need to be respectful of the dress codes, especially in religious sites. That means no shorts or sleeveless tops in the Vatican, for example. But for most of the trip, light and breathable clothing will be key. And comfortable shoes. We'll be doing a lot of walking.
Comfortable shoes, definitely. I'm also thinking of bringing a light jacket or sweater. Even in summer, it can get a bit chilly at night, especially in the countryside.
Good thinking. And we'll need to bring some power adapters for our electronics. Italy uses different plugs, and I don't want us to be caught without a way to charge our phones.
Yeah, that's essential. I'll make sure we have those. And speaking of phones, we should look into getting an international data plan, or maybe even a local SIM card once we arrive. It'll be useful for navigating and staying connected.
Agreed. And don't forget our passports, travel insurance, and any other important documents. I'm thinking we should make copies of everything, just in case.
Good call. Better to be safe than sorry. I'll also pack a small first aid kit, just the basics like Band-Aids, painkillers, and any prescription meds we might need.
Great idea. We'll be prepared for anything. I'm so glad we're planning this together, Bob. It's going to be the trip of a lifetime.
I feel the same way, Alice. I can't wait to experience Italy with you. It's going to be incredible, from the big cities to the little villages, the food, the culture, everything. We're going to make so many amazing memories.
Absolutely. And even if we hit a few bumps along the way, we'll face them together. That's what makes it all worthwhile.
With you by my side, I know this trip is going to be perfect.
You always know just what to say. Now, let's get back to planning. We still need to finalize our itinerary and book a few more things. But no matter where we go, I know it's going to be unforgettable. Bob, I've been thinking more about our itinerary. We have Rome, Florence, Venice, and a few days in Tuscany, but I'm wondering if we should add one more stop. What do you think about the Amalfi Coast?
The Amalfi Coast? That sounds amazing. I've seen pictures. It looks like paradise. But do you think we'll have enough time?
I know it's a bit ambitious, but if we cut down our time in one of the other cities, we could squeeze it in. The coastline is supposed to be stunning, with all those colorful villages perched on the cliffs. Plus, we could do a boat tour or just relax on the beach for a day.
Maybe we could spend one less day in Florence or Venice. We don't want to rush through everything, but I do like the idea of seeing the Amalfi Coast. It's like a dream destination.
Exactly. And we can take it easy there. After all the sightseeing and walking, it'll be nice to have a day or two to just unwind by the sea. What do you think?
You've convinced me. Let's do it. We can figure out the logistics. Maybe take a train from Rome to Naples and then a bus or car to the coast. It's going to be worth it.
I'm so glad you agree. I can't wait to see it all come together. This is going to be such an unforgettable adventure.
With all these amazing places on our list, I just know it will be.